Welcome to the fun and mentals of real estate, where we're here to help you build wealth, live your dream lifestyle, and leave
legacies that matter.
That's right. Yes. Okay, so
part two.
Yeah. Last week we're our closing day.
Right.
We're a seller. We're selling our house, right? Yeah. Okay, so question of the day. We each have a question of the day. See who's funnier. Okay, so mine is, do I need to bring 3 pens to closing because I got so much paperwork to sign?
It's not that bad. My question is, does my spouse have to be there?
Oh my gosh, that is very, very common. Yeah. So let's just start with who has to be there. Right. Who has to be there is anybody on title, or, since Missouri's marital state, even if you're only on title, if you have a spouse has to be there.
Now we can or we have to have a very specific power of attorney, specific to this transaction.
You can sometimes get a marital waiver or a power of attorney, but title companies prefer the spouse be there. You can also sign a mobile. So they can assign to you a mobile notary if you are not in town. So you don't have to be here for closing. You can be out of town for closing. It's totally fine, but they do need to know in advance because they got to get your paperwork 2 days in advance. In order for you to do that, mobile notary comes to you, tells you where to sign everything, collects your ID, collects your wiring instructions, so on and so forth. So
we've both seen a situation where this wasn't explained.
Right.
It's closing day. Everybody's got the movers are coming. Everything's going. 2 houses, buying, selling. And the wife says, "Yeah, my husband decided he went into work today. Can't make it."
Yeah. That doesn't work.
Does not work.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work.
And you don't need 3 pens. Selling the house is much easier than buying. There's only about
much easier.
5 or 6 documents, which we kind of touched on those a little bit.
A little bit. So what makes this transaction final? What's my
That's
doc?
a great question.
Yeah.
The deed that you're going to sign that warranty deed from you to the new buyers.
Yeah. So you're going to actually sign the title of the house. Now,
warranty
it's not like a car deal. It's not like a card title, and it's not something you have to keep. It's something that gets recorded.
It gets recorded at the county courthouse. Yes. So we say St. Louis County, St. Charles,
Jefferson,
Union
County.
Right.
Franklin County.
It's at the county, and which is good because it lets the world know that you don't know this house anymore.
That's
correct. It's bad because it lets all the scammers know that something just happened with your database, and you're going to get lots of junk mail. I mean, you've seen as far as cards, urgent, send us $80. Urgent regarding your other, you throw it all away.
Yeah, throw it all away. Always call your realtor or your title company. Ask first before you pay anything.
You know what I say? Because the cell phones are so cool now. Just take a picture of it, text it to one of us, and we'll tell you. And 99 times out of 100, it's going to be a scam.
The only thing you should be paying after closing are your typical Ameren UE, your Spire bill, maybe your internet or a landline phone bill, maybe if you had that. Right. But there really shouldn't be anything else after that you should be paying. So if you get the real estate tax bill later, and sometimes this happens, it follows you to your new address. You're like, why do I have a tax bill for my old house? You don't know that. Okay? The county just didn't know where to send it. And so don't pay it. Right. So there should not be any large bills after closing. That's number one. Okay. So other docs you sign. Did you have to sign an affidavit and answer a bunch of questions like how long you lived here? Anybody ever disputed your ownership?
Have any tenants?
Yeah. Do you ever lease it out?
Done any work in the last 90 days? Yes.
Yes. Have you done any work in the last 12 months, actually?
And the purpose is because the title company just wants to make sure that nobody's going to come back with a claim on that property.
Have you filed bankruptcy?
Rare. Right.
Here's a big one. If you have a home equity loan, one of those ones you could write checks on, don't use it after you sell the house. Right. Some people use them like a week before, and they're like, you get to closing, like, did you take any more money out on your home equity line? Like, oh yeah, I just did yesterday. No, that has to get shut down at closing. Actually sign a document that you have not taken any additional monies out, that they do have the final payoff on that second. And
if you did, let everybody know because it's going to cause trouble down the road.
Yeah, you got to let everybody know. And if you need to, let the realtor know up front before this starts, and we'll get the timing worked out on it.
You're also going to sign the same settlement side for you that you signed for the buyers of your house. And that's going to be the official document, too, that's going to be signed by the title company. It's going to say, I sold this house on this date.
Yeah, and I agree to all these charges. So you're going to sign documents like that. Now,
so when do the people buying my house, when do they get possession? When can they come in? And what kind of shape am I going to leave the house in?
Yeah, so here's the house should be empty on closing day is typical how we do it here in St. Louis. It didn't always used to be this way, and it may change in the future. Right now, everyone expects the house to be empty and cleaned on closing day, preferably by a walkthrough if it's possible. buyers are allowed to walk through up to 4 days prior to closing. And so they usually say, hey, when are you moving out? I'd like to walk through after you've moved all your stuff out, see if you dinged anything up.
And the old boards and stuff I had in the garage, that's got to go.
Yep,
Stuff I had in the attic, stuff in the basement.
Yep. Right. All right. Now, how do you get your money on closing day?
That's a great question.
Okay, so now there are a lot of scams out there. So while you're going through this closing process, between the time you get a contract, things that end up at the title company, and everyone starts emailing you. Right. Number one, watch. The scammers are so good. They copy other people,
right,
like the title companies, like the transaction coordinators, your realtor, and they act like, hey, give me your wiring instructions. No, never, ever, ever, ever send your wiring instructions for the title company to wire you the proceeds of your sale. Don't ever send those by email at any time.
And if somebody calls you and says our bank was hacked or whatever, we need you to change it. Just that's another way they can scam.
No. So you're going to bring those wiring instructions to closing, physically bring them, and if it's a mobile notary, they will bring the form to you. Right. You're going to fill it out. Here's my account number. Here's the routing number. Check with your bank, because sometimes they add additional routing numbers than what's on your checks anymore because there's so much wire fraud.
And they're going to take those proceeds from the title company and they're going to wire them. And that's to your bank account. It doesn't happen in minutes, but it usually typically happens in hours.
Yeah.
And it's a very efficient way to do it.
Right.
Now the title company can cut you a check.
They can cut you a check, but here's what happens. The banks can put a hold on sometimes 2 weeks. So if you want your money instantly available and you don't want to carry around a large check, wiring is really the way to go. You can ask for a certified check, a cashier's check, so to speak. You can ask for that. It takes a little bit more, and the title company literally has to go to the bank that day to get it. Wiring has been the preferred method because it is instantly available once it hits your account. Now, the buyers, though, back to your question of when they get to get in the house. Right. If you're at two different title companies and the buyer's at title company A and you're at title company B, title company A has to first send all the signed documents, including what you signed as a seller, to Mr. Lender.
Yes.
Mr. Lender has to go, okay, I see that everybody signed everything appropriately and the warranty deed signed. Okay. We'll go ahead and release the funds. Right. Then title company A sends the money to title company B via wire, and then as soon as title company B, which is your title company as a seller, receives the monies, then the buyers can access the house, and that title company will then wire out to you. Okay, so
and that's why most of the times we want to get these done first thing in the morning, before noon.
Ours are always scheduled in the morning, 9, 10 o'clock.
And it could be an issue if the buyers of your house say, we're going to close at 3:30.
If they're not closing until 3:30, you're probably not getting money that day, and they're not getting access that day. The other thing is that people do, when they do walkthroughs with their realtors in St. Louis are used to just taking the key at a walkthrough and then giving it to the buyer when they close, even though the money has not been released from the lender yet.
They'll say, on your honor system, do not go into this house.
But we don't do that because we've had way too many issues. We allow them to walk through. We ask them to leave the key in the box. We do not give them permission to take it. We go over, take the sign, take the box, put a combination box on, and we'll give the buyer the combination once the money has hit. Right. And then we're assured, and we've had no problems ever since. Not all the realtors don't like it. I got to tell you, the sellers love it because they no longer have early access from buyers into houses when money hasn't moved around. So that's the way we do it, but St. Louis still kind of used to taking those keys, just so you know, as a seller, you can request that does not happen. Okay.
So let's now the money that I'm getting from selling my house, I need it because I'm buying my new house on the same day.
Yeah. Should you buy and sell on the same day?
No.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can do
this.
Yes,
definitely you can.
If you're buying out of state, I do not recommend it because now the money has to move from title company A to B, your title company, all the way to another title company out of state. So we recommend at least the day before, at minimum, if not 3 days prior, that you close a house here if you are moving and closing in another state. Give it time for the money to move around. Make sure there's no issues. If that buyer or that buyer's lender does not release money, you're not even getting money that day. It could be the next day that you get money. So
and it is a risky to do it at the same time because everything has to align perfectly, and it happens that way all the time. But there is more opportunity for something to go wrong.
And a lot of people are buying their homes before they're selling them now because of the market and the low inventory, and they're able to go ahead and move before closing day, and they've already bought their new one, so it's not a big deal. But you can do them same day. You just need to make sure that the closing of your new house is contingent on the closing of your existing house. And if it's not, and your buyer does not perform, you're somehow coming up with that money in closing, or you're probably getting sued.
Yeah. And you can
one's going to be happy.
You can sign all the papers at the same time. You can sign the sale of your house. You can sign the buy of your house. But I would typically, I would say recommend not to have the moving truck show up at 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
You would want to schedule that for later in the afternoon, because it's all got to move. It's all got to happen.
Well, not if you're the seller. If you're the seller, you want it early, if not days before.
Right.
If you're the buyer, though, well, yeah, the next day is really the way to do it.
But it can be done.
It can be done.
And to me, it's helpful if everybody's at the same title company. That
it is. It's very helpful. It is very stressful to have all your stuff sitting on a truck while you're trying to sign away and waiting for all this money to move around and you to get a key. So you can get early possession. You can, as a seller, pre-sign. These lenders don't like buyers pre-signing. They used to, but they don't like it so much. Why don't we like that? We don't like that anymore.
Just because there's some liability about something happens to buyers. Yeah. But the seller's pre-signing, that's
sellers.
All the time.
So if you're going to go out of town and you don't want to do the mobile notary, and you're like, but I'm here 3 or 5 days before, you could pre-sign before you leave town.
And going back to our original question too, the wife could go in after she drops the kids off and sell the house at the kids off to school, sign the papers. The husband can come in and sign them when he gets off at lunch. It doesn't have to be at the same time. Yeah, it just needs to be that same day.
Yeah, gotta sign. And if you're pre-signing, you can sign on different days. It just has to be before closing, no later than closing day. Okay, did we cover everything? I think that is the big day of closing right there.
Yes, it's exciting, and again, don't be overwhelmed.
If you have good people working with you, that you will know all this stuff in advance. We will work timelines out for movers. Please don't sell your house and move the next day while they're trying to have inspections. Right? Wait till your inspections, wait till the loan commitment's good from the buyer, and then destage your house. Right? Move. Right? So even staging, if you've already moved and we have stagers, we don't allow them to take furniture until there's a loan commitment and building inspections and everyone is happy and there's nothing else left to do but go to closing. Then you move. So watch your timing out, work all these things out in advance. You'll see all your statements in advance, plenty of time to ask questions.
So I've had so much fun, and I've learned, and it's stuff that I've been doing for probably 30 years, and it's informative to me. It's something that I think it's good to know. We talked about one time I was doing first-time home sellers. First-time home buyer, because there are little nuances and things, but it's not overwhelming, and surround yourself with good professional people. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today. I hope you learned something on selling your home. It is not as hard at the closing table as buying. That's one thing for sure. All right. Till next week. We'll see you then.
Thanks.